score of 6-5. And here in game 2, it's Alex Cohen, joined here by Jordan Schachterly. Jordan was one of our interns last year, now working in our creative services department. Joining us for this game, Jordan, obviously Justin Steele got the start for the Iowa Cubs, 3 1/3 innings. You got to go down to the press conference. What did you hear from that?
I did. He said that he felt great about that outing in his first and hopefully only rehab start for him here in Iowa. Said that his stuff felt good. He was confident in how he felt, didn't get tired at all, and he's hopeful that he can make a return to Chicago.
So the I-Cubs, they win, final score 6-5. We're doing some fun stuff here at Principal Park, Iowa Cubs social media channels, and on our Marquee Sports Network broadcast this year. Jordan does all the creative stuff here for the Iowa Cubs, and she's doing a segment. It's called the Dugout Dive. So Jordan got to talk to Bryce Windham, one of the Iowa Cubs players from last year. He's a utility player, catcher, first base, outfield. He's playing right field in game 2, and we're going to bring you that Dugout Dive. Learn more about Bryce Windham.
Dugout Dive today. We've got Bryce Windham. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Happy to be here.
Good to hear. You play a lot of positions, catching, infield, outfield. Can you break down the differences between those positions?
Catching's the hardest. You have to memorize every hitter, their weaknesses, their strengths, along with every pitcher, their weaknesses and their strengths. You kind of got to combine the two and play that sort of mind game. You have a lot of responsibility back there with base runners and situations of the game. First base, you just kind of got to block the ball up over there and get it to first. So it's like the easier parts of catching, just kind of block it up. Second base, you got to be a little bit more agile, nice hands. Outfield's fun because I always think of being like a football receiver, just kind of running around, catching fly balls. But outfield's fun. You just, like I said, you get to run around, be a kid out there, I feel like. But yeah, catching is definitely the hardest.
The only one you don't have is pitching. Do you think you could do it?
I think I could throw strikes. We had an argument of how hard I could throw. Last year I got on the mound like 94, so I think I could throw some gas.
You've been playing minor league baseball for a little while now. I know it's been a couple years. What do you remember about your professional baseball debut?
I know it was in the AZL Rookie League. I don't remember who we played, don't remember what I did. I think I had 2 hits. I remember playing Bobby Witt in that league. He's 18 years old, really young. I just remember there's no fans. There was no fans there ever. There were like 10 people. It was only your teammates that weren't playing that day, so it was fun.
Now, Principal Park isn't quite that empty. How's it been playing here in Iowa?
Here's fun because, these fans really care about the Cubs and care about us, and, we want to come out and perform for them. AAA's been the most fun by far.
Do you have a favorite moment from your time as an Iowa Cub?
My favorite moment from an Iowa Cub is playing in Toledo, Mudhens, because I got to go home and live at home for that week. And one day I had 75 tickets that I needed to get for people. So I needed our tickets.
The whole section.
Plus their tickets. Yeah, it was crazy. And it was quite the experience kind of looking up into the stands and seeing, a lot of familiar faces because, they haven't seen me since high school. So, yeah, that was my most fun memory so far.
That's awesome. Bryce, thank you so much for doing the Dugout Dive.
No, thank you for having me.
Well, that was awesome. Iowa Cubs starting with their Dugout Dive here on Marquee Sports Network, here on the Iowa Cubs Radio Network as well. And for more on the Dugout Dive, you can check out iowacubs.com. We'll also be doing rounding third segments as well. We did that last year. But, Jordan, you got to conduct that interview with Bryce. He's awesome. He just seemed like he was fun, ready to do it, and he's a guy so diverse. What you'll learn about him was not only does he play baseball, but he's also a movie star, too.
He is. Who would have thought that he was in a movie? He's on Amazon Prime. He said he was only in it for about 10 minutes, so you only have to watch the first part of it, but he does have an IMDb page. He thought he might be one of the only professional baseball players with one of those.
Yeah, Bryce Windham is a stud athlete. So Iowa Cubs, Omaha Storm Chasers, they are playing game number 2 of today's doubleheader. Alex Cohen joined here by Jordan Schachterly. And before we get to the starting lineups, let's talk a little bit more about Justin Steele. Obviously, 3 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs. Struck out 4, he walked 1. Justin Steele, if you look at the line, you're a little concerned. If I look at the outing, look at the film, I'm not as concerned. Now, what did you see from that?
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing. It was a lot of weak contact. Those hits that he gave up, the runs that he gave up obviously led from those hits. And he wasn't concerned about that weak contact. He said it was actually pretty promising that they couldn't quite touch his stuff. And sometimes you just don't luck out when those balls are falling and your guys can't get to it behind you.
Well, Justin Steele, 16 wins, 5 losses last year. Opening day starter, 2024, 4 2/3 innings against the Rangers. Gave up just 3 hits, struck out 6, and he walked 1. And he's a guy, if you add back into the fold for the Cubs, this is a team that has weathered a lot of storms so far to start the season. You add a guy like that back in, and you're still 5-6 games over 500. You're one of the front runners in the entire National League. But first and foremost, what you saw from him, you can't imagine it's going to be much longer until he gets back up in the big leagues.
Yeah, he was very hopeful that this might be his only rehab start that he has to make. He threw some sim games down in Arizona and has stayed warm through his entire time on the IL. He said consistently throwing really helped him not feel tired when he was out there on the mound, and that's a huge part of a guy coming back from an injury, is being able to elongate his starts, and he felt comfortable where he's at.
63 pitches, 42 strikes, 21 balls. Chris Clark warming up in the Iowa Cubs bullpen. Clark, no record this year, 2 ERA. You saw Chris Clark a little bit last year, obviously this year, pitching more out of a starting capacity. You look at him, he's 6'7". He looks like a basketball player, heavy sinker ball thrower. Yeah, but he's a guy who's able to give you 4 or 5 quality innings in a doubleheader. That's pretty important.
It is really important, and when you think about it, obviously if you're playing 2 9-inning games between last night and today, you're looking at 18 innings. Today, they're looking at least 15 with the extra innings yesterday, so you just got to put that together. If you can see 4 or 5 out of Clark, the Cubs had to go pretty deep in their bullpen last game, so you want him as long as possible.
Yeah, so the Iowa Cubs won by a score of 6-5, and walk-offs are a lot of fun, Jordan. Walk-off wild pitches, slightly anticlimactic, but a win's a win. Miles Mastroboni crosses home plate, and then a half hour later, you're right back at it. If the Icubs can somehow get a doubleheader sweep after being swept in a pair of doubleheaders going into the Cubs game tonight, it could be a great day of baseball here at Marquee Sports Network.
It can, and I bet this feels a little bit like Little League ball for these guys. Going back to the tournament days when you're playing 3-4 games in a day, you're playing 6 games in a weekend. I'm sure that's got to be a little bit of fun to have more baseball for these Iowa Cubs players.
So the umpires meeting in front of home plate right now. Chris Clark throwing his warm-up pitches. He's taking on Zach Davies, a familiar name, former Chicago Cub. He actually rehabbed with the Iowa Cubs back in 2022. He's played for a handful of teams. You saw Daniel Lynch, former first-round draft pick for the Kansas City Royals, throwing last game. He went 4 innings, gave up 1 run, fastball mid-90s. And Zach Davies, he's probably the opposite of that pitcher right now, 86-89. Watching him warm up in the bullpen. And you look at this matchup here, Jordan, with a guy like Davies. He's a guy who's, you see, can either throw 6 innings, give up no runs, or throw 1 inning and give up 6 runs.
Yeah, and it's a tough approach for the Cubs here. They're going to go up swinging, I think, in this one. They want to get out of here early. They don't want it to be another extra inning game if they can help it. They want to score runs early, score runs quickly, and I think that that's going to be their approach. They're familiar with what Davies can do. They're going to attack him in that way.
All right, it's time for our Wellaby starting lineups here in Game 2 of today's doubleheader. For the I-Cubs, it's second baseman Miles Mastroboni leading off, followed by first baseman Jake Slaughter hitting second.